Welcome to the Fantasy Thinker. I'm Jared. It is time once again already for my monthly update. This is for December of 2024. We're getting to the end of the year here pretty soon. But first, my little wildlife picture of the month. Yeah, that's real. I actually caught a squirrel that ate through a pumpkin I put out in the yard, and he popped his head up, and I got a picture of it. So, pretty cool stuff. All right. With that all said, let's get into the books. What did I finish in November? I finished some good ones, really good ones. I finished my reread of Blood and Bone by Ian Esselmont. This is the fifth novel in the novel is of the Malazan Empire. Um, and this I feel is Esselmont's best work. It is outstanding. I really love this book, Blood and Bone. It's its own thing. It stands on its own as almost a standalone novel, except for there are some certain connections to the main Malazan series by Erickson, but and there are some threads continued on from his previous novels as well. So overall, though, it really stands alone as a just a good novel all on its own, and I really love it. All right, I also finished in November. Yes, Nexus by Yuval Noah Harari, some nonfiction history. This is the history of brief history of information networks from the Stone Age to AI today. And once again, Harari is probably my favorite nonfiction writer, and I love his stuff. He's a writer of *Sapiens*, if you ever read that, and this is his latest and greatest book, and I had a great time reading that. Lots of good information about information networks. So and how they worked, from the Roman times up to the printing press and so on and so forth. So very cool stuff. What else did I finish in November? I finished The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. This was part of our Sci-Fi Masterworks read-along on Page Chewing, and we had a discussion about this. I did a review, so check those out. And you'll see that I was slightly disappointed with this one. It wasn't my favorite Le Guin book so far. I much prefer the Earthsea stuff, but it was okay. So I was glad to have read that and finished it. So I also finished in November Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. I had a book think discussion about this book with Evie from She Was Only Evie, and it was a good time, and I really liked this book. It was fantastic. And what's funny is that is a sci-fi masterwork as well. That's going to be coming up in about a year for a read along. But um, I was fortunate to be able to read that. It's a short book. It's quick. I read it within a week, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It deserves its sci-fi masterwork moniker. And so, if you ever get a chance, it's a really quick read. You can read like in between something else, but it's really deep and meaningful. And check it out when you get a chance. All right, so on to what I stopped reading. I did not finish this book on purpose. This is my first time ever doing that on the channel, a DNF. I did not finish American Psycho by Brett Easton Ellis, and I did a review on this, a reaction on why I didn't finish this book. It was not for me. I didn't like the style. I didn't like what he was trying to accomplish. I understood what he was trying to do. I get it, and I prefer not to. I just didn't care, and so and I made a good show of it. I read over 200 pages out of it, and then I went to the ending just to make sure that none of my expectations were curtailed by something strange. But um, I uh, I was not surprised by what I read at the ending, and so it wasn't for me, and I just didn't care, and not my thing at all. So my first DNF. Hey, Had to happen sometime, right? All right, but that didn't matter because I read Blood and Bone again, and it was so awesome. Flowers for Algernon was so awesome. Nexus was so awesome. So I consider that a good reading month myself. All right, what am I reading right now? I am continuing on in P.L. Stewart's excellent fourth book in the Drowned Kingdom saga, A Lion's Pride. And I, once again, am having a good time with this book. I'm like 70% through right now. So I suspect I'll be finishing that off this month pretty soon. And having a great time, as always, with this series. I really love P.L. Stewart's first person style, and I really love some of the ideas he comes up with and some of the twists in the plot and stuff like that. So it's a good time. Check it out if you get a chance. If you really want some cool fantasy in a series that's not finished yet, but I know the fifth book is due out next April, and it's supposed to be the fifth book of seven. So he's really cranking them out, and moving along, and it's a lot of fun. So the Drowned Kingdom saga, A Lion's Pride. I am also reading um, Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This is part of the Speculative Speculations podcast. So we're reading this about 100 pages a week out of this book. And this is actually kind of a reread for me. Kind of. Because last year, I don't know if anyone will remember, probably not, I read the graphic novel version of Parable of the Sower, and now I'm reading the regular book. So I at first thought I might not have to read it. I can just skim through it or whatever and remember what I remember from the graphic novel to talk about it. But then I started reading the prose, and it's fantastic. It's so far so good. It's really a great book. So I'm enjoying that a lot so far, about a third of the way through. I have also started Storm Fortress. Yes, that's right. I think this is the 8th book in the Wars of Light and Shadow by Janie Wirtz, and wow, is it cool! I've read the first two chapters, and I'm enjoying it. This is also for a read along on Page Chewing with my friends there, so we'll be talking about the first 4 chapters sometime later in the month. That is going to be cool. All right. So that's what I'm in the middle of right now. Yes. I did finish some short stories for the month. I finished another story out of Tales Before Tolkien, The Roots of Modern Fantasy. This one was called The Drawn Arrow, and it was by Clemence Hoosman, a rare female author in these collections, these old stories from the 19th century. And it was an interesting tale about a king who is he's like dying of thirst in a desert, and somebody comes to save him and give him a drink, and then and it's a wild hillman, and he goes searching for this hillman after the fact. Once he gets back to his throne and he's all better, and he's like searching for this guy who saved him, and he can't find him. Nobody can find him. Sends people out to look at him. Finally, the guy shows up. Um, Things don't. He tries to give him all these gifts and stuff like that. Things don't go as planned. The hillman gets shot with some arrows, and the king's not very happy about that. And then finally, many years later, the arrows they come back to haunt him somehow with an arrow in his heart, and it was kind of a weird magical thing that happened there, and it wasn't very well explained, so I wasn't really that keen on that story. So there's been much better ones in that book, but I read that, and of course I read another folktale out of the Chinese Myth and Folk Tales collection with the beautiful gold edges there. And this one's actually a long one. It's like 5 pages, which is pretty big for this one. It's called Joining the Immortals, and it's about these two brothers who they go back and forth, and they're kind of competing for resources in their little village or something like that, and but they do it politely. And then there's like some little magical realism going on where somebody can change their appearance and look like the other one, and it ends up being a very strange tale. Um, and eventually, one of them moves on to a temple where he becomes immortal, and he ends up and one of the brothers ends up using up all his riches and wasting them, and he becomes poor. But then his brother comes back down from the immortal place, gives him uh, a magical pen holder or something like that, and like a ink pen, feather pen, and that ends up turning things into gold. So then the brother was rich again. So very very strange. So some of those folk tales, yeah, like was there a moral behind that? No, it's just very strange stuff. All right. I'm also reading. I finished volume 4 of the saga of the Swamp Thing that we're reading on Page Doing from Alan Moore, and that was pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. We have talks about that. I like going back and reading some of the Alan Moore stuff I missed from way back when. So that's one of them, and we'll be moving on to volume 5 of that 6 volume collection of Swamp Thing. So I read that, and yes, I did have a discussion on my channel about Revolvo out of this collection, The Devil Delivered, and Other Tales. So I do plan to read the third and final tale in this collection, and that is called Fishing with Grandma Matchie. And so I'm looking forward to that because I really love Erickson's writing, and I will be reading this very soon. As well as our sci-fi masterwork for this month is J.G. Ballard's The Drowned World, so I'm looking forward to getting to that. It looks nice and short. It's only like 200 pages, so I'll be looking forward to reading that for the month. Also, I'm kind of wondering if I should jump right into the next Malazan book, A Sail by Esselmont, or if I should take a break from Malazan and read something else, either Alan Moore's new book, The Great Wind, or a Conan book I have. So I'm thinking about that. I'm probably going to go right into A Sail because I just love it. So what are you gonna do? That's what I love, right? So without further ado, I think that's everything. I think I got everything. Oh yes, I'm also with Speculative Speculation. We also do some short stories out of the big book of science fiction as well. So we're having a blast going through the short stories in there, and a lot of them are really cool. They're really fun short stories, and they give you that sense of history of science fiction, and so it's really cool. All right. Anything else that I missed? I don't think I think I got everything. Yeah, I think I do. So with all that said, let me know what you finished off in November. Anything spectacular that you finished off in November, and any cool recommendations or what have you. So yeah, please like and subscribe. Be good to each other, and thank you.